Hello everyone, my name is Margarita Gomez and I will be presenting the developmental plan for the online course to be designed for the DL5773 online course design class. The target audience is 25 students in the 6th grade level from a Title I middle school located in Colorado. This audience is characterized for having 14 boys and 11 girls. This school is situated in a neighborhood with a large majority Hispanic population. This graph shows the race and ethnicity present in this target group. It is possible to observe that 8% of the students are Indian, 20% are Black African American, 32% white, and 40% are Hispanic Latino. The native languages found in this group are English, Spanish, and Indo-Aryan. During fall, the results of the Colorado Measures of Academic Success test in mathematics were released, and the data presented in the bar graph indicates that 28% of the students of these groups met or exceeded expectations for this test, whereas 72% of the students are approached or did not meet expectations. Based on different researchers, Keller and others focus on two dimensions to describe attention in the classroom: internal-external attention and on-topic off-topic attention. External attention is understood as the ability to get rid of irrelevant information and be focused on what is important around us, whereas internal information allows us to process what is internally acquired. Memory is important. Furthermore, in the classroom, there are two distinctions for attention course relevant: on topic or not course relevant, off topic. This figure shows that in this audience, 5 students demonstrate external off-topic attention. They are characterized for getting easily distracted by any off-topic situation: noise, comment, chats, and so on. 3 of the students of this class show internal off-topic attention. It was possible to identify after asking them about what the teacher just told them, and they did not have any idea, whereas other students were working in assignments from different subject areas. For the external on-topic were identified 10 students who show full attention to the lessons and were able to tell what the teacher explained. Finally, 7 of the students show internal on-topic attention. At first, as observers, we can get confused since those type of students are not looking either the presentation, video, or the teacher. However, when asked about the lesson, they can describe what was explained before. A pre-assessment was performed to observe prior knowledge, and the results show a good understanding of natural numbers when using the additive structure. However, it was possible to identify some issues when using the multiplicative structure, especially when solving word problems of math calculations that require division. In fractions and decimals, was possible to observe some misunderstandings and needs for improvement. They identify the representation. Nevertheless, they have issues with the notion of these concepts. Finally, most of the students demonstrate understanding about multiples, factors, and prime numbers, since this was part of the previous lesson for this grade level. After using the online bar questionnaire from the website VARK, a guide to learning preferences, it was possible to identify and analyze the learning style present in this group of students. 48% are visual. These students enjoy different formats, fonts, colors, layouts. 28% are oral, which indicate they enjoy debates, comments, make questions, and statements. 12% are reading, writing. These students feel comfortable with notes, lists, text in any form, whether on screen or on paper, and 12% are kinesthetic. They prefer the examples, experiences, real situations, practical problems, etc. As a math teacher in sixth grade level, I have seen how students struggle to identify the concept of ratio and how this leads to misunderstandings when working proportions. I see a great opportunity to immerse this topic in an online setting, since the target audience will be able to manipulate all the information provided. Sometimes, in an in-person setting, the follow-up to this topic is not what it should be, and we lost the opportunity to use as many tools as possible for the students to grasp the concept. Based on the Colorado academic standards, this course will cover the concept of ratio, the use of ratio language to describe a ratio relationship between two quantities, unit rate as a ratio, and use of rate language as a ratio relationship, solving real-world problems using tables of equivalent ratios, tables, diagrams, double linear diagrams, or equations. Andini and Joffrey state how the concept of ratio and proportion is used in different areas, such as geography, to understand the concept of population density. It is also needed in science to describe natural phenomena, economics and statistics to calculate profit and loss, among many others such as mechanics, robotics, engineering, and so on. They also state the importance of teaching the basics of this topic in elementary school. Thus, students will be able to study at higher levels and apply it in real life. As shown in the math STEAM with Dr. V.C. Jones, ratio and proportions can be seen in real-world examples, such as cell phones, cooking, statistics, and so on.
Check this out. Cell phones are great. They're good for taking pictures and recording video. But you may not realize that there are some restrictions when it comes to posting your videos or posting your pictures on different social media platforms. Most social media platforms want you to keep your videos or your pictures in a nice little square frame. In fact, hold on a second. You see, here I am in my cell phone with a 1-to-1 ratio. It's a square ratio, 1-to-1. You might not have realized it. It's called an aspect ratio because it's how you're viewing your video or your pictures. And we use it all the time. Or maybe you use a ratio like this. So check out this. This is a landscape ratio. It's wider, a 16 by 9. And this ratio is in lowest terms because there's not a factor that 16 and 9 have in common. Most videographers want you to film in this ratio if you're using your cell phone, like I am right now. See, so you guys use ratios all the time.
In this slide, it's possible to observe the performance environment where the students will participate for this online course. For the physical characteristics, students will be using their Chromebooks and the internet from school or home. This course will give the students the opportunity to access some real-world situations aimed to help them understand and analyze the ratio and proportion concepts. This online experience will be delivered during the math hours following the school schedule in this grade level. In addition, students will have access to this course at home since they are allowed to take their Chromebooks with them. This only will happen in case of a student's absentee. For support and interaction aspects, students will complete this course in a synchronous environment with peer and instructor interactions. This course is expected to last between 2 to 3 weeks maximum. Students will receive immediate support in the classroom or through email, then, if working from home. For the learning environment, students will have access to the online course by accessing the learning management system Schoology from their Chromebooks. This platform will provide vocabulary, videos, bibliography, concepts, real-life world problems to be analyzed, collaborative assessment, self-assessment, and teacher's assessment. This course is self-paced with collaborative classroom components for the construction of knowledge. However, weekly goals will be set up for the students to reach. Students will have the possibility to access the online course from school or home. Nevertheless, this course should be completed based on the timeline proposed by the teacher. Since each section requires collaborative work in order to build up knowledge, the subtopics are expected to be covered on a weekly basis. This course is expected to be completed in 3 weeks. This requires constant peer interactions and teacher intervention as the facilitator. In case of the need for technical support, extra Chromebooks will be available for the students to be used. Similarly, in case of an issue with the LMS platform, the teacher will have the capability to solve basic issues or contact the Schoology expert from the school or district via telephone or email. Based on the target audience, this course needs to be designed with relevant information. It will contain graphs, video, examples, bibliography, vocabulary, concepts, suggested websites for them to browse when needed. In my professional experience and as a student, I have seen the benefits of a constructivist approach where students have an active role. For this online course, I decided to use as foundation constructivism as the learning theory. Rooted in learning theories proposed by Dewey, Piaget, and Vygotsky and Brunner, constructivism learning theory is defined as active construction of new knowledge based on a learner's prior experience. In addition, Gagné, Briggs, and Weger state how constructivism has taken most of the attention recently among behaviorism, cognitivism, and humanism, since this theory promotes active learning by the construction of knowledge. A brief history of constructivism finds the roots of this learning theory back to the classical Asian, Indian, and Greek voices. History tells us that Gautama Buddha can be considered as one of the first constructivists as a result of his teaching philosophy that invited to identify the context and the role that is played in this. Then, his contemporary Lao Tzu founded the Taoism, focused on dialectical tension of contrast. With similar teaching, we find Heraclitus, around 540–475 BCE, famous for sayings such as cannot step into the same river twice. In other words, the context and the individual are in constant change. In the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries, Giambattista Vico, Immanuel Kant, and Hans Weihanger are known as pioneers of constructivism in Western philosophy. Vico and Kant describe knowledge as an active construction through experiences found in real settings. The 20th century brings the most notable constructivists. 1934 is published Thought and Language after Vygotsky's death. In this, he describes how these two aspects connect in child development and learning. In 1936, Jean Piaget publishes one of his famous books, The Origins of Intelligence, which follows as a goal to identify how does knowledge work. Nowadays, Piaget's work continues to be great inspiration in different fields, such as psychology, sociology, education, epistemology, and economics. Even though John Dewey philosophy was known as experimentalism or instrumentalism, his publications had a great impact on constructivism. Dewey believed that thought was the medium to understand and connect with the environment around it. The Process of Education is published in 1961 by Brunner. This text describes students as active learners and builders of their own knowledge. He considered education beyond merely the delivery of instruction, but instead as a facilitator of students' thinking. In 1996, as a means to encourage developments and research in the constructivist theory, the Society of Constructivism in the Human Science is founded. This society acknowledged Walter Anderson, Albert Bandura, Jerome Bruner, James Buchenthal, Donald Ford, Viktor Frank, Humberto Maturana, Joseph Ricklett, Francisco Varela, Heinz Forster, Ernst von Grasserfield, and Walter Weimer as constructivists due to their contributions to this theory. For the 21st century, constructivism is modeled to fit in the e-learning setting. Kuhan in 2009 proposed a model based on constructivism learning theory in e-learning environments. Constructivism in the classroom can be seen in different activities that allow students to take an active role. For example, the academic controversy is a strategy where learners need to gather information to support their point of view. Then, they have to introduce a final definition or solution after debating with their peers and the instructor. In the classroom experience shared by the Educational Broadcasting Corporation in 2004, describes how in a school from New York the teachers simulate a real-life setting. In this opportunity, an emergency session of the UN. Students were given the opportunity to prepare beforehand by gathering information about the countries involved on this session. The instructor proposed a crisis issue that students needed to solve based on what they knew about the countries involved. Prior knowledge plays an important role in the construction of new knowledge, as described in another experience that took place in a science classroom in New York. Graders shared their prior knowledge, and based on this, they were supposed to confirm or reject these ideas by doing research. This research led to another experience that involved critical knowledge building. This promoted critical thinking while students produced conclusions that they should organize to be explained to their peers. A final experience is shared in the Educational Broadcasting Corporation. Children explore the specific characteristics to be successful in the design of a parachute by using trial and error. And collaborative learning allow them identify the specific characteristics needed for their design to work. An e-learning setting is not that far away from an in-person setting. However, the model proposed by Kuhan and adapted by Kuhan and others will serve as a foundation for the creation of this online course. This model describes two categories, learning design elements and learning assessment elements as observed in the figure. I found this model interesting since, as described by the authors, the model includes and categorizes valuable elements of constructivism for the design of learning experiences in online settings. The learning design elements are formed by fundamental design elements which are valuable for the creation of goals, objectives, interdisciplinary aspects, control of learning, scaffolding, skills, prior knowledge, real-world experiences, and exploration. And collaborative design elements that include collaboration, cooperation, different points of view, different representations, and agreements. Learning assessment elements are crucial for the learner-centered model. It is the process to gather information to foster students' learning and development. The learning assessment elements include self-assessment, team assessment, and facilitator assessment. How this learning theory looks like in the classroom? As described by Kuhan, and others, the design of an e-learning environment under a learner-centered model promotes the active participation of the learners as well as the construction of new knowledge. The creation of the activities or assignments usually begins with the introduction of real-world situations. These situations could be proposed by the instructor or as a result of the student's research. Learners have control over their learning process. Next, the learner is required to apply this new knowledge to the situation, whether this as the result of research or prior knowledge from previous courses. After self-reflection and scaffolding elements connected to each other for the purpose to design the activity, justifications will be required, followed by the formation of small teams to work collaboratively for the construction of new knowledge, and social negotiations. Self-assessment, team assessment, and facilitator assessment will be designed for the activity. The instructor will be seen as coach, mentor, or guide. Feedback is an important action along the way. Schoology is a learning management system that helps teachers to organize classroom information. Students, teachers, and parents can interact through this platform. As described by Ferdianto and Duainiasi, Schoology facilitates dynamic course creation and management tools, networks for students and teachers, and curriculum management. The platform provides information that serves to track a student's performance, therefore it is possible to identify a student's needs, comprehensive analytics that allow teachers to tailor lessons for delivering better learning experiences. It is also a diverse platform to be used in professional developments where teachers can have access in order to enhance their professional skills. For the purpose of the design of this online course, I decided to use Schoology for two reasons. The first one is to identify all the features of this tool since I will be using it next school year. And the second reason is based on three design criteria from technology supported by Cummins and others. First, cognitive challenges and opportunities for deep processing of meaning. Second, self-regulated activity for collaborative inquiry, and third, need of multiliteracies in the 21st century. The first criteria identify the opportunity to share ideas within the classroom community. The second is the creation of personal profiles facilitating interaction between students and teachers. And the third criteria give the possibility to track a student's performance. This can be visualized by the teacher and the student. Finally, these were all the references used for the design of this developmental plan. Thanks.